Well, hello, everybody. I am just stoked, absolutely stoked, who I have here with us today. So, welcome to Conversations with Women Like Me. I am Julie Fairhurst. I'm the founder of the book program, Women Like Me, and I'm also the transformational story coach. And I help ladies get their stories out of their heads and out of their hearts and their bodies and into a book. And our newest book is Women Like Me, Healing and Acceptance. So we've got 9 beautiful women who have written in this book. And today I am here with Anna. And Anna, is it Anna Ah?
Perfect.
Perfect. Excellent. So I am here today with Anna Ah, and Anna wrote in our newest book, Healing and Acceptance, and the title of her story, she's chapter 5, if you want to find her, people, and the chapter of her story is called Forgiveness. This is a big word I don't understand. And I think that is just relatable to a lot of people who have gone through traumatic events in their life. I just want to tell you a little bit about Anna, and then we're going to jump in with her. So Anna came to Canada back when she was just a young lady from Hong Kong, if I remember correctly. And she works in Canada, and she has been involved in the nature and natural and organic food industry. And her current job is with the Quebec Organic Cheese and Butter Company as their Western account manager. And I love this. She's been given the name as the cheese lady. So I just love that. She has 2 sons. She's a certified Zumba instructor, and she's on her way to getting certified to be a fitness instructor. So good for you. On weekends, Anna coaches Special Olympics 5-pin bowling. Her older son is one of the players. And on Friday nights is always date night for Anna and her partner. And they lost their dog a year ago, but now they've adopted a kitten into their family. And Shelby is a bright boy with tons of character. She is still a cat newbie owner and has been told to be brave and to start with the ginger cat. Anna appreciates all the positive and wonderful people in her life, and she thanks God for all she has. Anna, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
So,
Lovely to be here.
oh, I'm so glad. So, Anna, let's start with my usual questions to the writers and the books, which is, why did you decide you wanted to write your story?
I was very inspired by the first Women Like Me book um, by a coworker in the industry. And I really appreciated all the brave women's stories. And I actually had an idea thinking it's been 32 years at the time I read the story. And it's time to write about something that I had gone through back in 89. And perhaps some other women, men, anybody who would need help or be inspired, like I was inspired by all the other stories I had read.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, and I appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much. As you know, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of a lot of hard work to get these stories out. And sometimes I don't know if people understand how difficult the emotional work is. So I appreciate you honoring the ladies. I think that was our founder book, our very first book, if I'm not mistaken. Was it
I
the one
think it's the
Becky Golding
Becky
wrote it?
Golding. Yes, that's correct.
That was our founder
That
book.
was
So
that was
yeah.
correct. And I have known Becky for a long time. Yes,
Oh,
I
nice.
work with her pretty much almost every other week,
Oh,
just through
nice.
emails, and we would chit chat a little bit.
Yeah,
And it's amazing how you develop a friendship even through email or
yeah,
through work,
yeah.
and so that's how it
Oh,
started.
oh, well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it. Okay, so you came to Canada. Canada all by yourself. I mean, how brave. How old were you at that point?
I was 22 years old.
Wow. You brave young lady to hop on a plane and come. Had you been to Canada before you came?
No.
Oh, very brave.
Prior to coming here, I had taken a flight to Thailand at age 20 with my mother.
Oh,
And
nice.
then from Hong Kong to Thailand, it was only a couple hour flight.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was my second flight ever in my life at the time.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
a big jet. It was a 747 jumbo
Yeah.
jet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big one.
One-way ticket.
One way ticket. So there was no going back.
Well, not within a year or within a couple of years,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
nope, that's it. No
Yeah.
turning back.
Yeah. And so what was your reasoning for coming to Canada? Was it to go to school or?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I had always been wanted to be a social worker.
Oh,
And in Hong Kong, I mean, I was a good student. I had good grades, but not as competitive as a lot of other students. You had to be really super, super, super duper good to enter a college or in the British system, Form 7, and then got into a university or college. And
ah,
I was okay, so I went for college for a year, and I was at 19 at the time. And I had always wanted to be abroad, to go to university and get a degree. And because I was volunteering at the YWCA in Hong Kong, and I had a lot of contacts with social workers at the time, helping variety of people aging from like young teens to 78 years old, like a
wow.
big range of people. And I thought to myself, that is something I would like to pursue. So I had, planned and saved up some money. And at age 22, I decided to leave. And I got
Wow.
accepted by a college here, there in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
Wow. Well, you brave young lady. Absolutely. So in your story, you sort of jump right in there. And so you'd only been in Canada. Was it 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. You'd only been in Canada 3 weeks, and you decided one day that you were gonna you attended the Catholic Church. Was that correct?
Correct. Because
Yeah.
my birthday is on September 5th. It's always a long weekend.
Oh yes.
And on September 3rd, and it's one of the friends that we all met at the time we arrived, and it's his birthday. We had 4 or 5 friends get together at where my homestay a place in Burnaby. So we had a little party, and then off everybody went, and that was Saturday night. And Sunday, on September 3rd, being a good Catholic, I was like, no, no, no. And my homestay family all left for vacation at the time. So I was
Oh.
alone in the house.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I knew my way, which is down Canada way, and to meet my godmother's aunt, which had
Okay.
lived in that area.
Yeah.
But as I said, I never made it.
Right. Right. So you start off in your book by saying, "Ouch! Did a rock fall from the sky and hit my head?"
Correct.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what happened?
I was walking on Canada Way, and it's a fairly big, you know, Canada. I don't well, people from British Columbia will know, Canada Way,
It's a busy
probably.
street.
Yeah, it's a busy street, but on a
Yeah.
Sunday morning, not as busy, and it's a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful morning. I remember just dressed casually as a student. I was walking, and all of a sudden, I just felt. I honestly thought a big rock hit my head because
Yeah.
it's right the back of my head.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't understand what happened. That's how
Yeah.
it started.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
then, so I mean, I would imagine that you would have been completely disorientated. Like all of a sudden, what's going on?
I guess thank goodness my father had put me into karate
Ah, yes.
and always taught me to be very observant.
Oh, okay.
That's an English word I learned when I was very young.
Yeah,
Observant in 24/7. So
yeah,
I immediately jumped into that mode. Stay awake. Whatever it was, stay awake.
yeah, yeah,
Glance around or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so when did you realize what was actually happening?
When he told me that do what I tell you or you're gonna die.
Wow. And
Pretty
did he
much.
say that to you in the when he dragged you into the van or on the sidewalk?
He was dragging me into it was uphill actually, a little bit uphill.
Yeah.
And then he turned right and that is where he parked his van.
Oh,
And so he dragged me and then I was told later, I can't remember who told me, could have been another so-called witness statement from the police saying
yeah.
someone actually saw that, but they thought it was a domestic fight.
Oh.
That's
So they
what
did,
happened.
so they just thought, what can I
Oh, it was
do?
just
And
a little, thing,
a
and they
tiff.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, that's a lesson right there for people, isn't it? To just to be
yes,
more, and the word you used, observant. We all need to
observant,
be more observant of what we're seeing because it might
correct.
not just be a little domestic
I
tiff.
really didn't literally see that coming. It was
Yeah.
behind me.
No,
Yeah.
of course, yeah. And so the thank goodness you did escape, and the although it was very nasty what happened to you, and you were injured quite badly, but it lasted about 30 minutes.
Give and take, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And so was he trying to uh like bind you and then drive away, or you were fighting so hard that he just,
He dragged me into the van.
yeah,
I still remember that type of van. I don't even know how to describe it. I describe it like the A team, where
yes,
where
yes,
the guy drive that type of van. Not
yeah,
a paddy wagon. I don't even know how to describe it.
yeah, I
So it
understand.
was sliding door. He pushed me in, and then he went back to the driver's seat. And I didn't really put all the details in there. Basically, he asked me for my ID.
Oh, huh,
Apparently, I was really at the wrong place at the wrong time.
yeah,
Apparently, later on, I found out he had maybe a fling with someone looked like me, Asian descent, in a bar or something. And he had to look at my ID. Well, at the time, I was a student, so I had
yeah,
I remember whatever ID I had.
yeah,
It was really bizarre.
yeah,
And I gave it to him because I was disoriented, but wasn't sure what's happening. But I knew I was in that type of van, already sort of scanning, and
yeah,
I was still new to the country, to the area, period.
right,
But I remember it's a sliding door that got in my head.
yeah.
And he drove me to I believe is Royal Oak,
Oh,
the
okay,
top
yeah,
Royal Oak, and there's
yeah,
on the top now it's all the high rises and stuff. Royal Oak, and it's a hill again.
yeah,
And well, I found out later. And he parked the van, and he came and he tried to assault me. Um, Basically, he just covered me with a pillow, and that's what he said. You do everything, bitch, or you're gonna die.
yeah,
These are the vivid words that I still remember. But I was
yeah.
still bleeding. I just not sure.
Right, of course, of course. But luckily, you were well. Let me just talk something because I think this one part of your story I find very. Um, I wanted to chat with you about it because you said at one point you thought you were dying and you weren't sure if you had died.
Correct.
Yeah,
Because I fought back. I
right.
knew how to block. I knew how to do this. I used the bar he hit me with. I hit him back.
Ah,
I hit him back, and so he was infuriated more.
yes.
And so he basically using that to hit my right side of my face.
Wow.
And I knew to protect one side at least.
Yes. Yes.
So, and then to the point where I didn't feel any pain.
Mm.
And I thought I was going to die.
Yes.
That split second, or I don't know how long it was. But in my head, I knew I was going to die.
Wow.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah. But your karate came in handy.
That was when I was still blocking.
Yes.
But he was hitting. Because I
Yes.
couldn't see, right?
Right.
It was all blood.
Right.
And it was just like Rocky. You think about Rocky, right? You're
Yes.
hitting, and you're one side is like you can't see, but you
Right.
still have one side you still know, right? And
Yeah.
then that was the time that, I'm not dead yet,
Yes.
because I was using my left hand block. I have my right hand,
Yeah.
and I grab my cross.
Oh. But then you got out. Somehow you got out of that
I
van.
was praying like, please come to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know how. To this day, I don't know how.
You
I
don't know.
managed
Wow.
to push him or whatever. Blind is bad at the time, and open the thing, just rush out. I could have been hit by a truck. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I just
And
had to
so
get out.
did he try to chase you, or he just took off then?
I don't remember. I don't know what he did at the time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember I could hear the first car didn't. It just zoom by me. Didn't
Wow.
stop. I remember seeing some light because it was only like 10 o'clock, whatever. Like it was
Yeah.
still, like during the morning.
Yeah.
I could feel the brightness
Yes.
and
Yeah.
honking.
Yeah.
And then I think he didn't come after me because cars are passing by.
Right.
He's
Right.
trying to take. And when the van, family who saved me,
Yeah.
and the lady came out, she saw him getting back in the van and go.
Oh, wow.
And then she pretty much threw me right into the van and get
Wow.
out of the road.
Yes. Yes.
Off the road. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. And so did they get his license number? Like how did the police track him down? Did you ever find that out?
I don't remember
No, it's
those
okay.
details. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, she gave a good description. They caught him within 2 hours or so. They caught
Oh,
him
that's good.
because
Oh,
he's already done it before. He's a repeat
ah.
offender.
Oh,
He just got out
wow.
not very long ago. He's
Yeah.
had done it someone not as bad as me. I don't know.
Yeah.
In Alberta, he's from Alberta. Yeah,
Oh, he's from Alberta. Oh
correct.
dear. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you spent a great deal of time recovery in the hospital.
21 days. Yeah.
21 days. Wow. And when we were talking about writing your story, I remember you were telling me about that you didn't tell your parents what had really happened.
No, I did not.
No. And so did you want to tell us why you didn't tell them?
Sure. Um, I don't know. At the time, I felt shame, but I don't think it was shame. I think knowing the culture I came from, time I was brought up in Hong Kong, parents are very traditional. Make sure that I got my education and I was pushed to the max and do everything the best, and it was wonderful. And never give up, no failure.
Mm-hmm.
You fall down, you get up, go again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very grateful for that because my parents were like that, fighting for
Mm-hmm.
their lives in China, moved to Hong Kong, and then we were born and had a better life. So they pushed to the max, they pushed us to the max that we could have a better life. So I think they're all in my head. And the last thing I wanted to happen was to have them come over and then bring me back home. Then
Ah,
I wouldn't have had the opportunity to pursue what I had wanted to.
mm,
He already had taken a lot of things away from me. He had no power over me
mm-hmm,
to have that taken away from me. I wouldn't allow that. So
mm-hmm.
I think that's all going through in my head at the time. And I had I was okay to communicate with the social worker at the hospital to contact my sister, who was living in San Francisco, which is
Ah,
only an hour and a half away. I
yeah,
said, please call her, have her come over.
yeah.
So, and they let my parents know, and I begged her to um, really play down, like, don't say the whole thing, just pretty much not the severity of the accident,
Yeah,
not the whole truth.
yes.
Just say I was attacked, I fought back, I was hospitalized, but I got better.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because my sister came and did that, they didn't come.
Ah.
Because it costs a lot of money to come to, and
Oh,
this
of
and
course.
that, right? And
Of
and then I
course.
said, hey, and it's okay. And they knew how brave I always have been at the time,
Yeah.
even back then. So they were
And
proud of me.
yeah, and you weren't alone because you had your sister there.
Yeah,
So that must have been some comfort to your parents.
correct.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I in hindsight, I felt like I used my sister because I didn't grow up with her and I really didn't
Mm,
know her that well. But
yeah.
at one point, I was very good with her, and so
Yeah.
she would do anything for me. I know that.
Oh, oh, well, that's, when people come to our aid in times of need and trouble, that shows love and commitment, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that because being in the country by yourself and your host family's on vacation and this horrible, horrible experience that you had gone through it's so great that you had her that was able to come because if not, you would have been alone.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. And so he went to jail.
Yes, he was sentenced to life
Wow.
with no chance of parole for whatever years. I can't remember
Right, right.
now. Long,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So how did because you were married, you have two sons, you've got a great career. So how did this not beat you down? How did you rise above this horrific thing that happened to you?
I just knew I had to move on
Mm,
because there's no crying over spilled milk. Very first phrase I learned. Um, I never shed a tear.
wow.
As painful physically and psychologically, failure wasn't a choice for me.
Mm,
And I think crying over it, it shows um, weakness,
mm,
which I didn't allow myself to do.
mm-hmm,
And at the
mm-hmm.
time, I had some friends. And as I said in my chapter, it's like an elephant in the room. Anna was so brave. Anna's always been the core of the group. They almost maybe felt intimidated to even ask. So there's a
Uh,
big elephant, but nobody talked about it. Nobody to this
uh,
day talked about it. Not one.
uh, yeah. And
As if
and
it didn't happen.
it's like it didn't happen. Yeah. And so I'm just curious because that's an interesting again observation that you made for sure because do you think it was just hard for them not to say anything or it was just was that energy coming from you saying we're not talking about this? don't even go there, people. Like, was it you, do you think, or was it they just didn't know how to approach you or what to say?
All of the above.
All of the above,
And
yeah.
also, it's a culture thing again. Shove it
Mm,
under the rug. If it's not needed, keep going.
yeah,
Now, also, I was the one who kept going and never shed a tear, didn't talk about it. It could have been from me too. I don't even know.
yeah.
Mm, Yeah,
Well, I guess, we all are different people and we all have different coping mechanisms. And I think, what do you like? I'm a bit like you. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I'm not going to, I mean, I have never experienced what you have experienced. So I don't want to say that I know what I would do because I guess don't really, but I would assume that I would be similar to you saying, well, what am I going to do? Like, let's just carry on. I can't change what happened,
no. Because at
and
the time I had too many things to deal with. My
right.
injuries, my studying and everything. It just a lot.
Yes,
And the grieving part is not it wasn't as important
yes, yeah.
because I had
So,
other things to do. Yeah.
yeah. So the title of your book is again forgiveness, or not your book, I'm sorry, your chapter, forgiveness. This is a big word I don't understand. Do you still not understand that word?
I still don't.
No.
I
Yeah.
understand the terminology or definition.
Yeah.
Um, as I wrote in a chapter, it's just because it's been so long, I don't remember a lot of details,
Yeah.
or I tend to block them.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Do I feel safe or not safe now that he's halfway out, or I still got calls from victim services?
Mm.
Or am I still angry that all these dental work still is still reoccurring, that they don't reimburse me? I don't know. So
Mm.
every little bit of disappointment will trigger a lot of things.
Ah.
So am I going to just I forgive him? What does that mean?
Right.
It's just because I don't think about him, don't
Right.
think about what happened, or just I get past it.
Right.
And I give you a quick example. My mother, my mother is 90 years old and he's in a care home in Richmond. Growing up and all these years, she was miserable because she was kind of paranoid and she always thought people were going to out to get her. She was miserable
Mm.
and she developed dementia. The last 2 years, I have never seen her sleep that well, eat that well, and happy. Might not remember my name, but love seeing my face. Now, what happened there? To me, she simply doesn't remember a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a blessing
Yeah.
to her. I don't
Yeah.
know. But it
Right.
really has opened my eyes. It's like, I still don't understand that word.
Yeah.
Do I hate that guy? Well, hate is a very, very harsh word. And
Yeah.
I try not to use that word, you know,
Yeah.
because I simply don't even know that person.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know him at all. I
No.
had a picture of his recent picture, whatever. Doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
So I don't understand the word forgiveness. And I guess if I'm kind to everybody, maybe he's included. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Oh. So towards the end of your story here, you excuse me, you talk about courage, fear, forgiveness, healing. Excuse me, I'm just gonna grab a little sip of water here. And you say here that it took over 20 years for you to start seeing a trusted psychologist. So it took over 20 years for you to actually go and seek help. Was it because you needed it, or you just felt that you needed to deal with stuff?
Okay. for the first few years, I was asked, "Hey, Anna, you really should go to see a counselor."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have time. I really didn't have time. The only time I had, I was taking 5 courses, and the only day I was off, I had to go for my dental the whole
Yes.
year. And so I really had no time. Plus, I tried a couple of them, and
Yeah.
no offense, I just half an hour I walked out because I couldn't communicate with that person, or I don't like people put a clock right in front of me and time's up. I just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
And so I just gave up, and I'm like, no. And then I was just busy. And maybe I hadn't met anyone that
Mm.
I could trust, or,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I
No.
really don't. I am not.
Yeah.
Almost like that counselor has to be at my
Oh,
level,
of course.
or better. Like if I feel like really, then how am I going to be trusting that counselor? And then no offense, and it's a very personal thing, and I
Yes.
just don't want to waste money and time.
Yes.
And until I met someone, it was good, and then but then at the time I had to leave,
Mm.
and so I met another really good one here in Edmonton.
Oh, good.
I have
Oh,
seen her
good.
quite a few times. Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, I don't think there's anything arrogant about it. I think that we all connect with certain people, and if we're going to be sharing such intimate details of our life, we definitely need to feel that we're connected and on the same level as the person that we're hoping we're going to get some help with, or it's just not going to work. So no, I completely understand how that would happen. So how's your life now? How are things going for you?
As good as I get. Um, I have 2 beautiful adult sons, and we decided to move here almost 18 years ago from BC to Alberta because my 2 sons have autism. So
Oh, okay.
it's better service, it's better life, and I never look back.
Oh,
And I have a very loving partner. We've been together for almost 10 years. Um, Everything's going well, and
good,
yeah, just life is
good,
good. Life is good.
good, good. So in closing, Anna, do you have any words of wisdom to anybody who's listening that might be just have experienced trauma, but yet they're like you, they don't understand the word forgiveness, but yet maybe it's causing them difficulties in their life.
Sure. One thing I thought about myself all these 30, the past 33 years, anything I would have had done it differently. Um, I would say is really be yourself, because everyone is different. Everyone goes through trauma, goes through life differently, and there's no one set ways of doing things, or being a victim or being a survivor. Um, be yourself, and then when you feel you need help, seek help. And it
Mm-hmm.
could be someone simple as a neighbor, simple as your sister, or if people
Mm-hmm.
are afraid to talk to you, and that's okay, because um, a different type of trauma will affect different people. And just I would just say be yourself, because that's how I was at the time. And would I have done it differently? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that. I think that's wonderful. Really, it makes complete sense. Sometimes, I think maybe sometimes people feel that, oh, I should do this because I'm being encouraged to do this, or I should do that, or why didn't I do this? But really, you're so right. We're all individuals. We're all different people, and we have to do what's right for us at that time in that stage of our life as we progress. So I love your message, and I agree. I agree with it for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you, Anna. I am just so thankful that you had given me the honor of getting to know you and having you write in the book. And I will have to say thank you to Becky for Becky Golding, who wrote in our
Hmm.
first book, for giving us or you the encouragement. And I hope that others who listen to this and read your story, that they will have that they will be encouraged to maybe step up and write their story or write a whole book, or whatever they need to do, and have the courage and the inspiration, because I know people listening to this will be inspired, and reading your story will be inspired by you. And the interesting thing I find doing this work is that I will never know how many people, women or men, have had their life touched or changed by the stories that we tell, and the words of wisdom that we give. And so the same with you. We may get a message here and there from someone thanking you, but we will never know the full impact. But I know in my heart that your story will have a large impact on many people who hear, on actually everybody who hears it, because you don't need to go through trauma to understand. And I think even talking about the elephant in the room, to me that was very helpful, just for people who maybe are dealing with other people who have trauma. So 1,000 thank yous, Anna. Seriously, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. So, one last thing. This is where Anna's story is. It's in the book, okay? Healing and Acceptance, Women Like Me, Volume 6. So if anyone wants to get the book and read Anna's story, we would all be very grateful for you to do that. So thank you again, Anna, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.